Hi everyone, and welcome to another tutorial. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make this Oculus bracelet, and this was designed by Looms on Instagram. I will have his name in the description box below, and I will bring up his Instagram profile here in just a second. First I'm going to show you the design. So this is based off of two of these little side pieces and then connected in the center, and I'll show you how to make each piece of that. But yeah, this is what it looks like. Personally, I prefer it in limited edition bands just because they all seem to kind of curl the same way and lay nicely, but if you don't have limited edition bands, it still works perfectly fine. I actually made another rendition with just regular bands. Anyway, let me bring up his profile here. So it is Xander_Looms, spelled like this. Like I said, I'll have his name in the description box below, but this is his account. So if you could go ahead and check out his account, like his photos, and give him a follow for me. And we will go ahead and get started. So first thing you're going to want is a hook. You really only need like one side of a crochet hook or something like that. So that's what I have here. I have a crochet hook. You're also going to want some C-clips. You're going to want some holder C-clips. So if you're not going to connect the bracelet like as a bracelet, you're going to want two C-clips for the start and the finish. And then you're going to want some holder C-clips for these things on the side. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started. For the moon solar that I used in this bracelet, I'm going to just be using regular opaque white, and I'll start by showing you how to make one of those side parts here. So I already made one, and I'll just show you how to make the other one. To start, you're going to cap a band, pull another band through, lift both of those cap bands. We're going to kind of start off like a regular fishtail, and pull a band through all 4 loops, lifting the first and the fourth. So now you should have something like this. Then what you're going to do is take your first color for these like frilly bands here. So I'm going to be using the fireworks bands. I'm going to take my pink. You're going to pull this through the first 2 loops on your hook, and you're going to lift both of those 2 loops. Now just be careful that you don't kind of pull this pink band out. You're going to hold on to this, turn it around, and make sure that when you turn it around that this pink band stays below the hook. So you should have something like this. Now what you're going to do is take this pink band in the middle and simply push it over top of the white and over the end of your hook. So it'll look something like this. Now you'll take a white band, pull this through all 4 loops. Again, make sure that pink is below the hook. And you're going to lift the first and the fourth. And if your bands kind of look weird at the beginning, just if you need to make a fishtail out of them manually, then do that. Just so it looks something like this. And then once you finish pulling that band on, you have to remember to turn this around again, because otherwise it'll kind of get weird and go backwards, and yeah, you're going to want to make sure that all of these bands look the same as you go up. So it'll look something like this when you go all the way up. Then once you turn that back around, you're going to take your orange band, or whatever color you're using next. Again, pull this through the first 2 loops, and lift both of those loops back up onto your hook. Make sure that you don't reattach this orange band onto the other side, just kind of leave it laying down there. And then you're going to take all 5 of these loops off your hook, turn it around, and again make sure that this orange band doesn't somehow get back up onto the hook. Then kind of just hold these white bands in place, push this middle orange band over those 2 whites and over the end of your hook. And if it starts to curl or twist, I'll show you what to do with that in a couple of minutes after I finish this. But you're going to take a band through the first, or through all 4 loops, and lift the first and the fourth, just like you would make a regular fishtail. Now again, remember to turn this back around. And if your bands start to twist, what I like to do is just try and twist them all in the same direction. So that's what I did here. I kind of just twisted them all in the same direction. But that's up to you. I just think it looks a bit neater. And when we do this center part, you are going to want to make sure that you untwist the bands so that they're perfectly straight. But this is just how it kind of twists for now. Anyway, I'll continue this kind of set. So I'll do another set of 6, just like I did on this side. So again, taking your next color through the first 2, lifting those 2 back up onto the hook. I kind of just like to hold the color band down while I turn this around so it doesn't pop back up. And then take this center band, push it over the end of the hook. Always remember to add another white band. And then, of course, always remember to turn this back around. Oops. And if you have a double-ended hook, you could just slide it down like this. Okay, so moving on to my green. It's just the same process all the way up. And you're going to want to make these strips about as long as your wrist, or make them long enough to go around your wrist. Okay, so when you get to the top of your bracelet, or when you've finished pulling this last colored band over, you're not going to pull a white band through the 4 and then fishtail it again. Instead, you're just going to pull a band through all 4 and close. So it'll look something like this. And then you'll take a holder C-clip and just attach that to your band. And then if your band's kind of twist in a bunch of different directions, don't really worry about it. Just make sure that you know that they're probably twisted, and just make sure to check that when we do the center part. And what I also like to do is take these kind of twisted parts and pull them a little bit to the inside, because it makes it easier to work with the center. And don't pull these bands on the outside, because then you'll get your bands kind of stuck in the middle, and you don't really want that because they're a bit difficult to get out. But go ahead and pause the video here and make 2 strips of these, and you can make them exactly the same. It really doesn't matter which way you make them, so they're just the same. And then I'll show you how to do the middle part. So once you have your 2 strips, what you're going to go ahead and do is just do what we did in the beginning. Take a cap band, pull a white band through and lift those 2 cap band loops. Pull another white band through and lift the 1st and the 4th, or the 1st and the 4th loop. So now you kind of have the start of a fishtail here. Then what you're going to do is take one of these strips and take the pink band, or the very bottom band. Make sure that it's not like twisted or anything, and just stick that on your hook. What you're going to do is take these first 2 loops over top of the pink. And just make sure that the pink kind of looks like this, so white loops go over top of the pink. And then you can flip this around on your hook and just take it off, and flip it around, or slide it down, whichever is easiest for you. And then you're going to push this pink over the end of the white band. So the pink will go under these 2 white bands and then over the next 2 white bands. Then you're going to take your other strip and put this bottom pink loop on your hook. Again, make sure that it's not twisted. You're going to do the same thing. Take these first 2 white bands, put it over top of the pink, and then you're going to slide this down or turn it around, and you're going to push this pink over the 2 whites. So now it should look something like this. You're going to take a white band through all 4 loops, lift the 1st and the 4th, or if they've become kind of unfishtailed, make sure that you just grab the right bands. Okay, So once you have the first and the fourth loops back up on your hook, this beginning is going to be a little bit tricky, but once you start to go up your hook more, it's going to get easier. So once you've done that, you're going to grab your next orange band, or whichever your next color is, and these are where the bands start to twist, so make sure that you don't grab it like this because it will twist there. You want to make sure that you grab it so that there's a gap in the middle. You'll take the white bands, move them over top of the orange, and this can get a little bit difficult if you don't have nails like me, but I managed, so hopefully you can too. You're going to move that orange into the middle, turn this around, then move the orange over the whites, and over the end of the hook. And this is where having these bands kind of pulled through on this side comes in handy, because your bands will be easier to move around. Yeah, so then you're going to take your orange band and stick that on your hook. Again, do the same thing, take these first two white bands, move them over top of the orange. So basically the orange will go underneath of the first two bands and over top of the next two bands. Then you'll push that off the end of your hook. It'll look like this, and then it will alternate each time. So this, like for example, this green band here is actually the other end of this band. It's just gone through the fishtail. So that's what it's gonna look like. And if you're kind of confused, like I don't really know how to explain it except to just say watch. But anyway, once you've pulled through both of the same colors on each side, you're going to pull a white band through all four and lift the first and the fourth loop. And you're not going to like turn this around or do anything in between. It's pretty much going to alternate each time. So basically this yellow band's going to go under and then over, and then the other yellow band is going to go under and over. So it's not going to be going under the same two loops every time, if that made any sense. You're going to pull these two white bands over so that this yellow band is underneath, turn it around, and then push this yellow band over. And so you push the yellow band over top of these two loops, but then the yellow band is going to go, or the yellow band on the other side is actually going to go under these two loops. So hopefully it's not too confusing. But once you do that, you'll just kind of turn it back around and push your band over. And always remember that once you've done both colors, or both of the, I guess, same sets from each side, you'll pull a band through all four loops and fishtail it. Again, making sure that your bands aren't twisted. You'll grab your next color. And you're not adding a white band in between every set that you do. Like, after I push this green band over, I'm not adding another white band. I'm going to put this other green onto the same set before I add another one. And your bands might be a little bit tight, especially if you're using like stickier bands in the middle, which I really don't recommend because it's going to be even more time consuming. I just recommend like regular opaque bands or something like this that's not super sticky. But I'm going to continue this to the top, and then I'll show you how to close it off. I have two more sets here to do. I have my blue and my purple. Oops, I'm off camera there. And some of these other bands might want to pop up onto your hook, but make sure that you only grab the one band that you need for this section. And what I like to do each time is just kind of push the rest of the bracelet behind the hook every time I flip it around so it doesn't really get in the way. Of course, that'll get a little bit more difficult once you reach the top of your bracelet, but that's just how it is. Okay, so I'm on my last set here and my purple's left. Okay, so once you've done that, what you're going to go ahead and do is, just like we did with these other two strips, you're not going to fishtail another band through. Once you've pulled those bands over, you're just going to pull one band through all 4 loops, and you'll have something like this. Then you can take your other 2 white loops and take off this clip, and then turn it around, take off, or put these other 2 white bands on your hook, take the C-clip off, then take one last white band through all 6 loops, add a C-clip, and pull that off, and then you'll go to the other end, stick your hook through all 6 cap band loops, like so, pull a white band through all 6 of these loops, and add a C-clip here. And if you like, you could add 3 C-clips for a closure, like one for the middle and one for each of the sides, but this just kind of saves you 1 clips, and I don't know, I think it looks a little bit neater. These bands at the bottom are going to be a little bit weird, just because they're the beginning, like these ones are kind of weird looking down there, but you can always twist your bands and kind of try and push them in the right direction, that kind of thing. So as you can see, my bands are kind of sticking out here, and I can fix that later, but anyway, that's what your finished product should look like, and that is going to do it for this video. So thank you for watching. I hope you liked it, and if you did, make sure to give a thumbs up, can't get that in the frame, and subscribe. I will have Xander Looms' name in the description box below. Make sure to check him out on Instagram, give him a follow for me, but that is going to do it for this video, and I hope to see you next time.